Sir, are you in campus?
No, I'm not on campus. Yeah,
Oh,
I am
okay.
still in my place, in my parents' place. Yeah. Are you on campus now, Akshay? Oh, by the way, it
No,
started recording
no, sir.
anyway. Tell me, yeah.
No, sir.
Yeah,
So,
I am in campus, sir.
Samarendra is on campus. Which hostel are you in?
Sir, I'm staying in quarantine.
Okay,
Yesterday I came here. Yes.
okay. And Manoj is also, from his message, it looks like he's also on campus. Or he is reaching the
He's
campus.
coming. Yeah, he's coming.
He's
Yeah.
coming today. Okay, good. What about others? Some more people are coming back to the campus.
I am also in campus, sir.
Hari Prasad is on campus. Shivakumar,
I'm not coming, sir.
you are
Not
not
this
coming.
semester.
And Mohit?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Okay. You're not that keen.
No, sir. We are
Anyway,
first semester
yeah,
students
I
and
think
we
all
are
this
not
is on
invited
YouTube.
till now.
Okay, all this is going on YouTube. Maybe we will, at the end of after stopping the recording, we can talk a bit more. So let's start the class. So welcome back after some gap, and so where are we? We are finishing the proof of Rees representation theorem. Okay, so we'll finish
Alright.
it today. Yeah, tell me, Akshay, is there a question?
No, sir. No, sir. Today we
Okay.
have last two.
Yes, so today will be the last step, and that's all that I'm doing today. I could have done that and continued with something else, but I thought, okay, it's a good point to stop. So that's all that we will do. So we are blindly following Rodin. We have done the first 9 steps, and we will do the 10th step today. And then we will stop today and continue with the rest of the sections uh, in the next class. And as I said, it's an important theorem. Existence of Lebesgue measure will be an easy consequence. And more generally, I said something, no? Like the Lebesgue measure, there is something more generally. What is the word? Haar measure. And they exist where?
Locally compact group.
Locally compact group. Yeah, locally compact topological groups. And Lebesgue measure has this property that it's translation invariant. Haar measure will have that property. Only thing is your group may not be commutative. So you will say left invariant or right invariant. Yeah. So there is a unique left
Yes.
invariant measure satisfying certain properties. And we will try to do that also. Okay, later. So let me start sharing the screen. And as usual, please confirm you can see the slides.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. So today is the last lecture on RRT. So RRT would have taken now, this is the 4th lecture on RRT. I think in one lecture, maybe I just stated and stated the steps. And
Yes, sir.
1,
This
2,
fourth.
3, and 4 we did in one lecture. Next 5 steps we did in the 3rd lecture, and the last step we will do today in the 4th lecture. Okay, I'm deliberately going slow on this just to show how important it is. So once again, recall in the last 2 classes we covered 9 out of the 10 steps in the proof of RRT as in Rudin. And these were, can you tell me once again? We named all our steps. First one was
Subadditive.
sub-additivity, and second one was about
Compact sets are in
compact
MF.
sets, and third one was
Open sets.
Open sets
sets.
are
We
irregular.
showed that open sets are irregular, and the next 3 steps were about which set?
MF.
MF, and the first MF step, 4th step, that was additivity in
Additive.
MF. And
Additivity in MF.
then we did 5th one was
DUI.
Sandwich. I think.
sandwiching.
Oh,
So
sandwich.
if you take
Sandwich.
something in MF, then there is
You
an
can
open
find
set containing and a compact set contained in
content.
whose difference is small, can be made
Yeah.
arbitrarily small. Okay, and the next one was DUI.
UI.
So this said that if A and B are in MF, then A minus B, A union B, and A intersection B, all these are in MF. And so 3 plus 3, 6 over. And the 7th one was a big step, major step, which
M
showed
is
that,
major.
no, before that.
M is sigma
M is
algebra.
sigma algebra, and also it has the property that it contains.
MF.
No, it doesn't
Borel
contain
sets.
Borel major.
the
Yeah,
Borel
Borel.
sigma algebra. It contains the
Yes.
Borel sigma algebra, and the next step was the characterization of MF in terms of M. What was the characterization?
Yes.
MF is nothing but all those sets in M with
Measure is finite.
measure. Yeah, we say it is a measure. Measure is finite, but it is a measure is the next step, 9th step. What was my title for the 9th step?
Mu is a measure on F.
Yeah, but what was my title? That is Rudin's title.
Your title was one line.
One line. Okay, so it just follows
One
from
line. Your reasons.
one line, and that was mu is a measure. And the last step is today. Okay, so subadditivity, compact sets, open sets. Next three were about MF, and these were additivity, sandwiching, and DUI. And then we had the MSS sigma algebra containing B, and then characterization of MF, and mu is a measure on M. And the remaining most important step is lambda f is integral f d mu, where f is from
CCX.
CCX. And what was lambda? You remember in the theorem, what was the statement about lambda? What is
Positive
lambda?
linear function.
Positive
linear function.
So
Yeah.
it's a linear functional on which vector space?
CCX.
CCX, and valued in
Complex number.
complex numbers. And what's the meaning of positive?
If fx is positive, then
If f is non-negative, then lambda f is non-negative.
Lambda non-negative.
yes.
If f is bigger than or equal to g, f and g are real, then lambda f is bigger than or equal to lambda g. Okay. So this is what we are going to prove, and not very difficult now that we have done all these things. So we may assume f is real. Is that okay? Because otherwise you can write as f is u plus iv, and lambda f will be lambda of u plus iv, which will be lambda u plus I times lambda v. So if you have proved for lambda u is integral u d mu and lambda v is integral v d mu, then you are done, right? So you may assume that f is
Yes.
real. And also, suppose you have proved this inequality. You have to prove it's equal. Now that f is real, inequalities make sense, right? Inequalities make sense. And suppose you prove this inequality, then I say that it's enough. From this inequality, equality follows. What will you do? Standard trick.
Replace CF by minus F.
Replace f by minus f, and that's enough. So minus of lambda f is lambda minus f, which is less than, suppose you have proved this inequality, then this is less than or equal to integral of minus f, which is this, and the other inequality will follow. So it's enough to prove this inequality. And for the first inequality, lambda f less than or equal to integral f d mu, can you guess in all this measure theoretic analysis, what is the technique to prove a less than or equal to b? Standard technique. Many times we have used this. You show that a is less than or equal to b plus epsilon for every epsilon. Okay. So we need to show that lambda f is less than or equal to integral f d mu plus epsilon for all epsilon positive. Okay. So this is what we are going to do. Lambda f is less than or equal to the right hand side plus any small quantity. And this is true for arbitrary epsilon, and you agree, right? So this is what we are going to do. Okay. Now, so choose an epsilon positive, and we are going to show that something like this. Okay, structure of the proof is clear. It's an important step, and I'll try to motivate the steps, but not beyond a point. So the key ingredient in step 1 was partition of unity, right? In the last step also, the key ingredient is partition of unity. So we are going to apply partition of unity. You remember that. And where are you going to apply partition of unity? What do you need in order to apply partition of unity?
Two sets, compact set, open sets.
You need a compact set which is contained in
Open set.
finite union of open sets, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Finite union of open sets, and then by partition of unity you get a partition of unity on K subordinate to that cover, right? That was our terminology, no? So on a compact set K subordinate to an open cover K contained in V1, etc. Vn. We don't have K and V1, V2, etc. Vn right now, no? I'm just telling you that our main step is applying partition of unity. So we need a K and we need these finitely many sets Vi. Where are they going to come from? What do we have to start with? And where are you going to get your K? What will be your obvious guess for K? Right or wrong is another question.
Sir, F is in CC, so support of F.
Support of F. We are starting with an F. right? We have assumed f is real and we have started with an f of continuous of compact support real valued, and you take it support, that's a nice compact set, right? So take the support of f. So given f in CCX, an obvious choice for k is support of f. Agree? So this you have, and now you have to get v1 etc. vn, right? Yes. Now you remember this the following: if f is continuous of compact support, then what do you know about the range of f? What do you know about the range of f? Take a guess. I mean, we have done it, we have proved it. But if you don't remember, take a guess. It's continuous function of compact support. So support is compact. What about the range?
It is a
Range is
compact.
compact.
That is also compact. And do you recall the proof? Because support is k, compact. So f of k is compact, right? Continuous image of compact set is compact.
So it is compact. Yes.
Yeah. But now what might happen is singleton 0 also may be in the range. And it's going to be either k or k union 0. In either case, it's going to be compact. Okay. You need to supply a small argument that this will happen. Okay. So so you know that the range is compact, and where is the range contained in? Range of f is contained in where?
Real numbers.
Real numbers. So it's going to be a compact set inside real numbers. So what can you say? It will be contained in a compact interval, no? It's going to be closed and bounded. It may be union of closed intervals, but it's going to be contained in one closed interval, right? Because it's bounded.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Why, sir? Why one closed interval, sir? It can't be contained.
I'm saying contained in. Finally, you may get a union of intervals, but all those will be bounded. Overall, it will be bounded, right?
Oh, yes, sir. We can make an interval.
Yeah. So take a bigger interval. So if you have,
Yes,
1 to 2 union 10 to 1000, you take, minus 1 to 1001 or something. Okay. So now the question is, this is varying in, no? In V1 union, etc. union Vn, n is a variable, right? How are you going to get n sets? So where is this n coming from? So k came from the domain of function, and I'm going to say that n is going to come from the range of the function. So range is compact, and it is going to depend on the epsilon, right? You have fixed an epsilon to start, and n is going to depend on epsilon. How? Because you consider the range. You know that the range is compact, and therefore it is contained in some interval AB. A may be negative, and B will be positive. Why? Because in general f will take value 0 also, right? Right? Because k is a compact set and x need not be compact. X can be much bigger, and outside k it's going to take the value 0. So 0 is typically there. So A is to the left of 0 and B is to the right of 0. Yeah, so it's contained in some AB. That's not very important, but anyway. So now what we are going to do is, can you guess the next step? Fx is going to be in between A and B, and an epsilon is given. What are you going to do from your intuition about Riemann integral and such things? An epsilon is given and an interval is there. So typically when you start integration, not even measure theory, basic Riemann integration, you subdivide, right? But an epsilon is given. So how are you going to subdivide? How many times are you going to divide the interval? Are you dividing into 2, 3, 5, 10, 1 million?
Divide like that so that interval length is less than epsilon.
Yeah, divide so that successive things, the differences less than epsilon, and that will produce an n, right?
Yes.
So that will produce an n. So if epsilon is small, n will be big. Okay, so depending on epsilon, so I'm not just dividing, I have chosen y naught deliberately strictly less than a, up to me, no? So I have made n intervals, the end point is b, and I have chosen the left point slightly below a deliberately, for the convenience of notation in general. So I'm going to divide the interval a to b, divide and extend a bit to the left, y0, y1, etc., yn, so that what is the next line? What is the condition? What is the next line? All the
Length of
successive
interval is
differences
less
are
epsilon.
successive
Less than
differences
epsilon.
are less than epsilon. So yi minus 1 is less than epsilon. I don't have to put a modulus, no? Anyway, yi is bigger than yi minus 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is where n is going to come from. Still, you have to get this open sets. But tell me one thing. You know that you have a function f, and you know that fx is going to be bigger than a, and fx is going to be less than b. This much you know, right?
Yes.
And now I have subdivided it into n points. What are you going to naturally consider now? You know that fx is between a and b, but between a and b you have y1, y2, etc. So what is the most obvious step to construct now? You have f of x. You take an x, pick an x from x, and take f of x. You know that it is between a and b. And now we have this y1 less than y2 less than in between a and b. What is the question that you have to ask now?
So we consider the set X such that f of x lies in between a and b.
But f of x is anyway between a and b. That set is the whole of x.
Yeah, sir, we are considering. Okay, I mean we are considering the sets X such that f of x is in between yi and yi minus 1.
Absolutely right, naturally, no, because you know that for any x in x, fx is between a and b. Now you have this subdivision, and you are curious to know when fx is between y1 and y2, when fx is between y2 and y3, etc. So it's natural to construct the following set. Natural to consider the sets ei equal to set of all x such that fx is strictly bigger than yi minus 1. And one side or the other I should put in equality. So I have put on the upper side. That is why here I have taken y0 strictly less than a. Okay. So yi minus 1 strictly less than fx less than or equal to yi, and I'm going to intersect with k, right? Because I know that support is k. Okay. So I'm going to consider these sets ei. My first question is, once you construct such a set, the first question is, this is measure theory after all. Are these sets nice? What is the meaning of nice?
Measurable.
Measurable. But what measure? We don't have any measure, no? Okay, we have a measure.
Mu
have
measure.
Yeah, we have mu measure and we have sigma algebra m also. But are these measurable? Can you say something? How can you say? Because f is not given to be measurable, right? What is f?
F is continuous, but
Continuous, you know, but not measurable with respect to this measure or something, no?
yes.
So but still I want to say that these are nice sets. So what is your substitute? What will you say? These are measurable, yes. But
F
with
is continuous, so Borel, so contain in
absolutely. So continuous map is automatically Borel measurable. So these are measurable with respect to which sigma algebra? The Borel sigma algebra.
yes.
And therefore these are measurable in our M sigma algebra also, right? Because our M contains B, no?
Yes.
So that way we can conclude these are measurable in our measure also, but we are saying something better. These are Borel measurable. Okay, these are Borel measurable because continuous functions are Borel measurable, and therefore EI belongs to B and B is contained in M. Okay, that also you keep in mind, but EI is in B. Okay, so
Sir, why
EI
there is not equality at y minus? There is not equality at yi minus 1. Why?
Say that again.
Sir, to define ei,
Yeah.
there is not equality at yi minus 1.
Yeah, that's okay, no? Because this is F
Then
inverse.
they will not be disjoint.
Yeah, I want it to be disjoint also.
Oh, to make ei disjoint.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to make EI disjoint also, but measurable is fine, no? F inverse of open interval, open at yi minus 1, closed at yi. That's okay.
Yes.
So EI in B, and by construction they are disjoint. This is exactly the point that you just made. Yeah, making one place strictly less than, they are disjoint, and you can observe what is their union, E1 union, etc. union En. They are all contained in K by construction, no? Each set is intersected with K. So what is their union?
Their union contains K.
Union contains K. On the other hand, union is contained in K also. Therefore,
It is equal to.
Equal to K. Okay, so their union is K. K is even, union, etc. union En. Okay. So you've got these EIs, and we would like to have VIs, right? Open, right? I would like to have V1, V2, etc. Vn open sets. EIs are not open. They are Borel measurable. Now I would like to have V1, V2, etc. Vn open sets such that K is contained in V1 union, etc. union Vn. What will be a natural candidate for Vi? If you take V1 containing E1, V2 containing E2, that's good enough, no?
Yes, yes.
So that will be the natural thing. And given a measurable set, there is a natural way to construct an open set, no?
Given what, sir?
Given a measurable set, there is a natural way in which we construct an open set containing that, right? In many of our proofs, what do we do? How is mu of EI defined? Mu of EI is infimum.
Is V
V
open.
of V, or E subset of V open.
Yeah, so in E1 is infimum of mu of V containing E1, no? Infimum is greatest lower bound, and there is an epsilon given to us. So mu of V plus mu of E plus epsilon is not a lower bound, and that will produce a V, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you take E1, open sets containing E1, take the measure and take the infimum, that is mu of E1. So if you take mu of E1 plus epsilon, there will be an open set V containing E1 whose measure is less than this, right? Because of greatest lower bound.
Yes.
Correct. So that's the way to construct these VIs, and the open sets in this should arise naturally as VI containing EI, and that's what we are going to do. I'm just going to call it WI first because I want VI to have one more property, but I'm going to apply this to WI so that mu of WI is less than, instead of epsilon, I have taken epsilon by N. That's okay, no? Any addition, mu EI plus something is greater than mu EI, and therefore it's not a lower bound, and that will produce an open set WI containing EI such that this happens. You agree?
Yes.
Okay, I did not call it Vi here because I wanted Vi to have one more property. Therefore, I'm going to take Vi to be Wi intersection F inverse of this open interval, Yi minus 1 to Yi plus epsilon. That's an open interval, and F is continuous. Therefore, what do you know about the inverse image?
Open.
Open, and intersection of two open sets is open. And is it true that Vi also contains Ei? Wi contains Ei, you know. Is it true that Vi also contains Ei? So the question is, does the other open set contain Ei?
Yes, sir. Because
That is
it
true,
contains-
because if X is in Ei, then F is strictly between Yi minus 1 and up to Yi. But I have taken Yi plus epsilon, so it's strictly less than Yi plus epsilon.
yes.
Right? So this contains Ei. And is it true that mu of Vi is less than mu of Ei plus epsilon by N?
Yes, sir.
Because Vi is
monotonicity.
contained in Wi.
Monotonicity.
Yeah. And this is also true, no? The last one, Fx is strictly less than Yi plus epsilon for all X in Vi. By construction, right?
Yes.
If X is in Vi, then X is in this set, and therefore Fx is between Yi minus 1 and Yi plus epsilon, and I'm interested only in this part. Agree?
Yes.
Okay, so you have got K, and these are going to be my VIs, and what is the next step? I have constructed this. Now
Apply partition of unity.
Partition of unity.
apply partition of unity. What will you get? How many functions will you get?
N function.
H1, etc. Hn, they are all continuous of compact support, and Hi precedes
Vi.
Vi. What does that mean? Support of Hi is contained in Vi. And what is the most important next property?
summation of hi
Summation of hi
is
equal to
identically 1 where?
on K.
On K. So you have got such
Support
HI.
of X.
Yeah, you have got such HI. So you applied partition of unity, you got HI preceding VI. So this means each HI is valued between 0 and 1, right? And support of HI is contained in VI. And the HIs have compact support, continuous, and H1 plus etc. plus Hn is identically 1 on K, which is the support of F. Okay, that's our K. This you have got. Now, can you guess? I mean, this kind of a thing we have used many times. Once H1 plus etc. plus Hn is 1, what are you going to do with that thing? You will write F as F times 1. And F times
Yes.
1,
Yes.
F times H1 plus
Yes.
etc. plus Hn, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this is certainly true on K, but K is the support of F. Therefore, this is always true. F is FH1 plus etc. plus FHN, right? Always. Because if X is not in the support of F, then both sides are 0. And if X is in the support of F, then this is anyway true. Once you do that, what will be your next step? You will apply lambda F, right? We are interested in lambda F, no?
Both sides. Yes.
And lambda F, now how will you write? You will write it as lambda of FH1 plus lambda of FH2 plus etc. And then you will apply all these knowledge about HI and all that. So that's how the proof will go. So before that, I want to recall step 2. You remember step 2? It was titled compact sets. And for any compact set, what did we prove in step 2?
Compact set are in MF.
Compact sets are in MF. In particular, mu of K is finite. And we also proved one statement, no, about mu of K. Infimum of?
Yeah.
Mu of K is infimum of?
Lambda F.
Lambda K precedes F, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And our first step was to prove, in order to prove this, so it is infimum, it is the greatest lower bound. First step was to prove it is a lower bound, right?
Yes.
Right? That means you have to prove mu of K is less than or equal to lambda F, no?
Yes.
Whenever K precedes F, you have to prove mu of K is less than or equal to lambda F. Do you remember how we proved this?
By considering a real number alpha between 0 and 1, and then we did some manipulation and took alpha tends to 1.
So you proved that mu of K is less than alpha inverse lambda F, and you made alpha go to 1, right? Do you remember the first step after defining this, after taking this real number alpha, you considered some open sets depending on alpha, right? V alpha. So I'm going through that proof once again. I'm going to go through that proof once again. So this we did for K preceding F. But look at the proof. You are not using the full power of K preceding F in this part of the proof. What is the meaning of K precedes F? F is in CCX. F is identically 1 on K, and F is valued between 0 and 1, right?
Yes.
But I'm not using F is less than or equal to 1 in this proof. Okay, so I'm redoing that proof to show that only F is positive is used, not F is less than or equal to 1. Of course, I'm using F is identically 1 on K. Okay, so let's see that proof again. You pick an alpha, consider V alpha to be X such that Fx is bigger than alpha, an open set containing K, and mu of V alpha, this is the definition, sup of lambda G precedes V alpha. And because G precedes V alpha, G is in particular less than or equal to 1. That I am applying only for G, not for F. F I don't know anything, okay? And this means alpha G less than or equal to F, right? In my original slide, this was a strict inequality, right? And then we had some discussion.
Sir.
We had some discussion and I changed it. Okay. So alpha G less than or equal to F. Therefore, alpha lambda G is less than or equal to lambda F because lambda is positive. Okay. And therefore, inequalities are preserved. And in particular, mu of V alpha from this step, it is a supremum of lambda G, but lambda G is less than or equal to alpha inverse lambda F. And that is true for each lambda G. And therefore, you get this. And in particular, since K is contained in V alpha, by monotonicity of mu, you get this. And now make alpha go to Alpha go to
1.
1 and you get mu k less than or equal to lambda f. Did we ever use f is less than or equal to 1 in this proof? No, we did not use that. Okay, f is positive is used. Where did we use f is non-negative?
Yeah, from g less than or equal to 1 in case alpha g less than
Yeah,
or equal.
that must have used the f is non-negative. Yeah, correct. So f is less than or equal to 1 is not used. That's all that I want to say. And we know that whenever you have a function non-negative which is identically 1 on k, you have this inequality mu k less than or equal to lambda f. That it is the infimum of such things, we'll use the other part also, but not this part. Okay. So let's continue. So we apply this conclusion to h1 plus etc plus hn. I can apply, no? h1 plus etc plus hn is greater than or equal to 0, right? Because each hi is greater than or equal to 0.
Positive.
And
So
h1 plus etc. Say that again.
yes, sir. H1 are positive.
H1s are positive, HIs are positive, therefore the sum is positive. And the sum
Yes.
is identically 1 on k is given to us by partition of unity.
Yes.
What I am not sure is the sum less than or equal to 1? I don't know that. Because each one is less than or equal to 1, but the sum may be bigger than 1, no?
Yes.
Outside k, sum may be bigger than 1, right? Everything is supported in Vi, but the sum could be bigger, but I don't need that. That's why I redid the proof, so that sum is bigger than or equal to 0 is all that is required. So if I apply that, what is the conclusion? What is the conclusion? Mu of k is less than or equal to?
Lambda of H1 is 2 is
Yeah. Lambda of h1 mu of k is less than or equal to lambda of h1 plus etc plus hn, but what is that?
1. Oh no.
No. We don't know that. But what is lambda of a plus b?
Lambda of a plus
Lambda
lambda.
plus lambda b.
Just that, okay. So I
Linear
should
function.
pause
Yes.
there. So this is lambda h1 plus etc plus lambda hn. Now we are going to analyze our f. How am I going to write f? This we verbally said earlier. F equal to
Summation hi.
F1 plus Fs.
summation f hi, hif, and I'm going to apply lambda. Lambda f is lambda of h1f plus etc plus lambda of hnf. Agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Now what do you know about h1f? What is the property of h1?
H1 precedes V1.
H1 precedes
V1.
V1. So we know that, and so H1F also precedes V1, no?
Yeah.
Because
Outside
support,
V1, H1 is 0.
yeah, the support of H1 is contained in V1, then support of H1F is contained in V1. That is true. But I'm just thinking, yeah, so I'm going to write it in terms of V1. So now, how do you compare mu of V1 and lambda of H1F? Because mu of an open set is same as supremum of lambda f precedes V, right?
Mu of B1 is less than H1.
Greater than.
Lambda of
Yeah,
H1.
greater than.
Yeah, so lambda of h1f is mu of v is an upper bound. So lambda of
Less
h1f
than.
is less than
Mu of V1.
mu of v1, right? Yeah. So this is, I think that's my next step. Let's see. Okay, so maybe that's not my next step, but I'm going to, okay, maybe that is my next step. I'm also going to apply fx is less than yi plus epsilon I know on vi, right? This we know, no? That's why I
Yes.
changed wi to vi. And HIF is, okay, so maybe I'm not applying it exactly like that. Let's see. So do you agree with this? HIF is less than or equal to yi plus epsilon hi because f is less than yi plus epsilon on vi.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So now applying all these together, lambda f is less than or equal to, so I am applying that. Okay, I'm not going to mu of vi, but instead I am applying to HIF is less than or equal to this. So lambda of HIF, because it's a positive functional, will be less than or equal to lambda of this. But lambda of this is a scalar that comes out. It is yi plus epsilon lambda hi. Agree?
Yes.
This you got. Okay, and you can see what is my idea. Finally, right hand side I should have integral f d mu, right? Plus something, plus epsilon. And integral f d mu, you remember, I mean, in Riemann integration, it comes from Riemann sums, right? By
Yes,
subdividing the interval. It's something like that that we are going to do here. And you know that the integral is defined in terms of simple functions and inequalities are true. So something like that, what we are going to do. So the next step, what I'm going to do is I add and subtract, and this is because lambda is a positive functional. Now we will add and subtract mod A times summation lambda hi to this inequality here. This function, you add mod A lambda hi and subtract mod A lambda hi. Okay. So what will you get? You will get lambda fs. Whatever you had, you added mod A lambda hi and subtracted mod A lambda hi summation. Agree? Nothing more. Added and subtracted this. Okay. Fine. Now, what do you
Yes.
know about this part? Summation lambda hi is connected to mu of k. No. What did you know? Mu of k is less than or equal to summation lambda hi, right?
Yes.
So mu of k is less than or equal to summation lambda hi, and therefore when you put minus mu k is bigger than or equal to minus summation lambda hi. So within less than or equal to, I can replace this last part to be minus mod A times mu of k. Agree? Yeah.
Yes.
And so that part, a mu of k will come, and what will happen to this part? This part, vi or ei or something like that should come. Yeah. So what did we do here in the first part? First part, vi came, right? The earlier argument that I made, now I am applying. So you know that hi precedes vi. Therefore, lambda hi is less than or equal to mu of vi. Agree?
Yes.
So this is mod A plus yi plus epsilon times mu of vi with a less than or equal to. Yeah? You can replace lambda
Yes.
hi by mu of vi because it's inequality. Less than or equal to.
Yes.
And mu of vi is less than or equal to mu of vi plus epsilon by n. That was our construction of vi.
Yes.
Okay. And the last part is minus mod A times mu k.
Yes, yes.
Because mu k is less than or equal to summation lambda hi. So minus sign is there.
Yes.
Therefore, that's greater than.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So you got this, and this is because hi precedes vi, and you know mu of vi is less than mu of vi plus epsilon by n, and you know this. Okay, this is the reason which we have already given. Now let's continue. This is coming nicely because I'm going to get integral f d mu here. Okay, so what we do is k is even union etc. union en. Therefore, what will you apply? This also you know that the union is
Disjoint.
disjoint, and therefore you have, what do you know about mu of k?
Sigma t.
Mu of k is summation
Mu of ei.
mu of vi because additivity. Mu is a measure.
Yes.
Okay, so here you can observe that whenever there is no indexing over I, see whenever yi is not there, for example, mod A times mu of ei summation over I equal to 1 to n is nothing but mod A times mu k. You agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so things like that. So epsilon times summation mu ei is epsilon times mu k.
Yes.
Okay, so things like that you can do, and it's a disjoint union. So mu k is this. Therefore, you get lambda f is, what I have done here is you have yi plus epsilon times mu ei, right? I have written it as yi minus epsilon. That's a trick in the proof because we know something about that. Yi minus epsilon. So yi plus epsilon, I have written as yi minus epsilon plus 2 epsilon. Okay. So you will get summation yi minus epsilon mu ei plus 2 epsilon summation mu vi, which is 2 epsilon mu k. Okay. What is remaining? Mod A mu k cancels, and what is remaining is epsilon by n times summation mod A plus yi plus epsilon. Agree?
Yeah.
That mod A mu k cancelled because k is a disjoint union of EIs. Okay, so this is good. What do you know about this summation? How does this summation look? What do you know about yi minus epsilon compared with f? Okay, maybe you need one more step. EI is those points where fx is bigger than yi minus 1 and less than or equal to yi, right? Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
yi minus 1 is less than epsilon. That's how you subdivide it into yi's. Therefore, on EI, yi minus epsilon is less than fx. Agree?
Yes, sir.
yi minus 1, yi minus epsilon is strictly less than yi minus 1, which is strictly less than fx. Okay. So what do you know about this summation now? The first summation here. On EI,
This is less than.
less than fx. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes,
you
sir.
are getting in this part will be less than integral over EI FD mu, no?
FD mu, yeah.
Yes, sir.
That is over EI, and you are doing summation. So you will get integral over K, no?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes.
integral over K is same as integral over X, right?
Yes, because
Okay,
suppose
therefore, you are getting lambda f is less than or equal to integral FD mu over X plus what is remaining? This part. But this is all epsilon, right? So I will rewrite it as epsilon times 2 mu k plus epsilon by n times summation mod A. Mod A comes out, and what is summation 1?
N.
N. N and N cancels, so that is mod A. And each yi I can replace by B, right? Because it's an inequality. All the yi's
By
are less than B, no?
By what, sir?
By B.
Oh, yes. 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 Yes.
All the yi's are less than B.
Less than B. Yes.
Each yi, if you replace by B, then B comes out, and summation 1 is N, and N cancels.
Yes.
So epsilon times B plus epsilon is epsilon times summation 1 by N, that is epsilon. So you got this. But these are all absolute constants, no? K is fixed, so mu of K is fixed. Mod A is fixed, B is fixed. So it is epsilon times something. So this is arbitrarily small, right?
Yes.
This part is arbitrarily small, and that's all that you had to show, no? Agree?
Yes. Less than epsilon.
Okay, so
Yes.
this is the proof of the last step. So what is the key ingredient? If you have to remember
Yes.
just one thing,
Set-
what is it?
Set EI.
Set
Partition.
EI, or more than that, partition of unity, no?
Partition of unit. Yeah.
Partition of unity. Set EI is kind of, yeah, set EI also. But set EI you are, forced to consider once you choose an epsilon and subdivide into n, set EI automatically comes up.
Yes.
Okay, so of course, doing this proof first time on one's own would have been tough, but that's not what we are doing anyway. So I have stopped here for today because I thought it's a good place to stop. Okay, so let me, is the proof absolutely clear? The whole
Yeah.
proof, the structure of the proof, it's a very important
Yes.
result, and it's not a difficult proof, right?
Yeah, very long.
Yes.
Bro.
Yes.
It's all elementary steps, and
Yes.
so I can stop sharing the screen, and so yeah, so I think all of you are here except Manoj, and I think that Krishna also sent a message, so maybe he also said, yeah, he is also not feeling well. Okay, good. Good in the sense, yeah, he has told me, so fine. So any quick question or comment? maybe we can also stop recording and then talk for some time and then stop. Yeah. So let me stop recording.